So today we're getting weighed. Well, we're not getting weighed.
No, the car and the caravan.
Yeah, we're getting our car and caravan weighed to make sure that we comply to all of the GCM, GVM, ATM, TB.
A, B, C, D, element of P, all of those.
Those.
So what do you reckon? We're going to be under or over?
I'm quietly confident we'll be under.
Yeah, I reckon it'll be under. Yeah.
So if you're interested in that, let's go take a look.
Woo.
You need to comply to all of these numbers.
More than likely, if you're going around corners, it can introduce understeer on the car.
GCM, which is your gross combined mass.
Oh, 3.5 tonne, yeah, you'd be right. It's not a good attitude to have whatsoever.
How balanced our tow vehicle is, front to back.
I'm Lonnie.
And I'm the dad.
This is our son Zeki. And together we're going to take you on
Another Oz adventure.
Let's start by covering the van weighing process. First of all, we drive the car onto the scales to get the GVM. It's important to note when you're weighing your van that the car and caravan should be fully loaded as if you're going on a trip. That means fuel tanks full, water tanks full in the caravan, and occupants in the car. Next up is to weigh the caravan to get the GTM. And finally, we unhitch to get the ATM of the caravan as well as the tow ball download weight. All that's left now is to review the results. But before we do, I'm going to give you an explanation of all those confusing acronyms. Feel free to skip ahead if you're already on top of this. So when it comes to weighing your van, the numbers you're interested in looking at are your GVM, which is your gross vehicle mass, the maximum mass that your vehicle can be when it's fully loaded, occupants, fuel, stuff in the car. GTM, your gross trailer mass, and that is the maximum mass that your trailer can be when it is attached to your car, again, fully loaded with everything in it. Then you've got your ATM, which is your aggregate trailer mass. That is the maximum weight that your trailer can be when it is not attached to your car. And then you have the GCM, which is your gross combined mass, which is the mass that the car and the caravan can be when they're combined together. Another number of interest will also be the TB, tow ball mass, and we'll look at that as well today. You need to comply to all of these numbers, 1, to be safe, 2, so that way you're legal on the road, and 3, so your insurance will cover you in the event of an accident. With that out of the way, let's get on to looking at our results. So the weigh-in day is done and dusted.
Are you surprised?
I was.
Yeah?
You?
Yeah, I was. I thought we were going to be good, but I was surprised with the results at the end of it.
Yep. Yeah. All right, well, we'll share it with you guys now. So starting with the GVM, the gross vehicle mass. The maximum GVM from Ford is 3.35 tonne, and we came in at 2.824 tonne. So that gives us a difference of 526 kilos that we can put in the car, which is good. That's a lot of room to move. The next two numbers are for the caravan, so we're going to go through the GTM and the ATM. So the gross trailer mass provided by Crusader is 3.093 tonnes, and ours weighed in at 2.671 tonnes, giving us a difference of 422 kilos on the GTM of the trailer caravan. The ATM, aggregate trailer mass of the caravan from Crusader, is 3.3 tonne, and we weighed in at 2.92, giving us a difference of 378. So realistically, between those two numbers, technically we could only load an extra 378 in there. That's like the more conservative number, the limiting factor, because we do hitch and unhitch the van. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, we shouldn't be putting any more than that 378 in there. Yep. GCM, this is the one that surprised us because we thought this was going to be the limiting factor for us. The GCM from Ford is 6.4 tonne on the new next gen Wild Tracks, and we weighed in at 5.495 tonne, giving us 905 kilos left over on our GCM. That's a lot.
It is a lot.
That is a lot. So almost a tonne left over that we could load up between the two.
It's good to know that we're that well under, that the car itself doesn't need to work super hard. So it's obviously rated to pull a lot more, and we're nowhere near that.
Yeah.
So it's it's comfortable knowing that the car's not going to be at its limit.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on, the tow ball download. So the maximum from Ford is 350 kilos, which you might notice is 10% of our maximum towing capacity of 3.5 tonne. What we weighed in at, our tow ball download, was 251 kilos. So we were sitting at 9.4% as a percentage of our Caravan GTM. You ideally want to be between 9 and 11% with your tow ball download. 10% is the absolute sweet spot. You want to be around that number for stability when you're towing to sort of help reduce sway in your trailer.
Yeah, so if it's too light on the tow ball, the Caravan's going to want to sway. And if it's too heavy on the tow ball, then your car's going to the steering's going to feel very light. So there's a sweet spot. And I guess with all the room that we have spare, weight-wise, we can... Actually, we need to put a little bit more weight on the tow ball.
Yeah, we do. So yeah, we're at that 9.4. So ideally, to bring it up to 10, we can and should put a bit more, towards the front of the Caravan, ideally, to get a bit more down.
Another point on the tow ball download, I think we mentioned, it actually is added to your GVM of your car. So a lot of people can accidentally go over their payload that they have left in their car by not taking into consideration the actual tow ball download, because that weight is pretty much comes off the Caravan and then is added to the car. So it's it goes towards that calculation. So you've got to weigh yourselves, your kids, your fuel, anything that's in the car, and as well as the tow ball download. So that goes towards the GVM limit of your car. So definitely something to take into consideration.
The next thing that gets looked at is your Caravan weight as a ratio to your vehicle weight. So that is your GTM to GVM ratio. You ideally want to be less than 90%. The Caravan weighs less than 90% of your car weight. And that's because, again, for stability when you're driving. Ideally, if the car is heavier than the van, you're going to have an easier time towing it and directing it than if the tail is wagging the dog, essentially.
Yeah, you don't want the Caravan dictating what's happening with the car.
Yeah.
And if what you're pulling's a lot heavier than what your actual car is, if you find yourself in the risk of not being able to control sway, or more than likely, if you're going around corners, it can introduce understeer on the car because you've just got so much weight behind you pushing the car forward when you're trying to turn. So, we were at 90, what was it?
We were at 95%.
95. So we need to put more weight in the car.
Yes.
Especially in the rear of the car.
Yep.
So
that will help with our tow ball download.
When we got this weigh, the only thing we had in our tray was the pram, and there's heaps more room. So I think just the wood that we're going to carry, I think will go well in the back of the ute.
Yep.
And that'll help with making that percentage better.
Then we look at how balanced our tow vehicle is, front to back. And props to the Ranger's suspension. We are only sitting at 1.91% difference between front and rear. And I guess the maximum check weight have advised is it should be no more than 3%.
It carries the weight well.
Yeah.
And that's without any GVM, GCM upgrades, any spring upgrades. Yeah, that could probably better that percentage and bring it down. But I guess from a stock standard car, it's done awesome.
Yeah, really. We're going to go into a bit more on how the Ranger tows in a separate video. So I will show some footage of what that looks like. But yeah, we're very happy with the suspension in particular on the Ranger. The Caravan balancing front to back is 1.24% different. So that's really good as well.
Still under that 3%.
Yep. And something else is the weight of the Caravan driver side versus passenger side. Props to Crusader. The van's actually designed really well for that. It's less than 1% difference in weight from one side to the other of the van. So typically you expect your kitchen side to be a lot heavier because it's got all the heavy appliances there. Yep. And yeah, no, it's really, really well balanced. And I guess they've done a good job at balancing that out by putting the bunks on the opposite side and putting all your storage cabins on the opposite side as well to even that out. So the Checkweight guys were really impressed with how evenly balanced it was.
The Ranger's heavier on the opposite side. So on the driver's side of the Caravan, it's where it's heavier. But on our Ranger, it's heavier on the passenger side. So they actually equal each other out. When I say heavier, we're talking 51, 49% on either a car and trailer. So they actually even each other out. So it's not too heavy on one side. So it won't want to naturally pull. So it works out pretty even.
It's good.
Very good.
That's about it for the numbers. What did you think overall? I was very surprised. I guess, like we mentioned before, we were most concerned about the GCM and how we were going to fare with that.
I think we sort of scared ourselves a little bit too, because we made the mistake of actually putting down deposit on the van before we even thought about the weights of the cars. I mean, you go to these shows and all they ask you really is what car you're driving, and then
they look at the maximum towing capacity essentially.
And they say, oh, 3.5 tonne, yeah, you'll be right. It's not a good attitude to have whatsoever, because it's more than just what your towing capacity is. So,
and I mean, this is an industry-wide thing. This isn't just, this isn't Crusader. This
is it was everyone.
Yeah, we spoke to other caravan suppliers too, and they are all the same. So it's really upon the caravan purchaser to understand their legal requirements and what you can and can't tow. And I think a lot of people don't know, which is kind of scary, but you don't know what you don't know. That's the thing. So unless you stumble across something and then you start investigating further, you don't realise, the importance, I think, of this, like in terms of safety, in terms of being legal on the road, and then in terms of not avoiding your insurance if something goes wrong. Like, it's a big investment.
Yeah.
So those were our numbers. We use Checkweight Illawarra for our weighing. Thanks to Frank and Jeanette from Checkweight. They did a great job. Super friendly.
Easy to deal with.
Yes, super easy to deal with.
Took, 2 weeks to get a date booked in?
Yep.
It was only 2 hours, two and a bit hours on the day, so it wasn't that long.
Not even. It was 1.5 hours.
Oh, there you go.
Yep.
So it was, I thought it was going to be a lot longer, but it was, quick and easy. They're very accommodating.
And only $360. I mean, when you think about it, 1.5 hours, $360 to make sure you're safe on the road.
It's worth it. It's worth it.
You're spending so much on a van. So if you're in the Illawarra, reach out to Frank and Jeanette from Checkweight. We were really happy with their service and would highly recommend them.
Little man.
Hi, Daddy. He was getting a bit restless.
Yeah.
I think he wanted to be included.
Talk about extra weight in the front of the Caravan. All I picked up from the day was, we need more weight on the front of the Caravan, so an extra solar panel, battery, maybe, to the setup.
Okay, we can leave it there. Thank you.
Honestly, it's
Thanks,
a good idea.
guys.
It's a good idea.
Like and subscribe if you're enjoying our content.
You need to put it to the front.
Thank you.
I need another solar
Loving the
panel.
comments so far.
Another lithium battery.
Okay, say bye. Bye.
What's going on?
Daddy's going crazy. Say bye, Zeki. Bye.
What do you reckon? Do you think this is a good idea? Do you think we did a good job? Is this a good idea, mate? Yeah. Oh, no? Okay. Each to their own.